Ashley Muteti. Ashley is the founder and executive director of the Zuri Nzilani Foundation. You'll tell us more about it. And you told us November is what month?
World Prematurity Awareness Month.
World Prematurity Awareness Month.
Yes.
Prematurity in what?
Premature babies. So this month we are celebrating all premature babies. Babies born too soon.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a lot of many questions, including what is babies born too soon? What does that mean? How do we get there? And then why do we need to actually keep talking about this? Welcome to the show. We'll discuss all this very soon. First of all, CT will give you the day's proverb. This week the proverbs have been from the state of
Libya. Libya.
Okay.
Did you know that Libya was once an early Christian center in the 5th and 6th century?
No.
Well, even I didn't until I started reading into this. So do not fear, you are not alone. Eric, remember earlier on you mentioned the internationality of this particular show. Yesterday, I got a call around 10 o'clock.
PM or AM?
PM. There's a friend of ours called Dr. Okoh. He's in Burundi and he was talking to a friend of his who's Canadian, but DRC by origin. And why they called at that particular unearthly, ungodly hour was to tell me that this gentleman watches the show every single day.
From where? From Canada? From Burundi?
From Canada.
From DRC?
From Canada.
Okay.
And actually even got to talk to him.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
So I thought I would mention that.
Canadian is DRC from origin.
Wow, DRC, but he's now Canadian.
Lives in Canada.
Yes.
But he was speaking to you from Burundi.
He's speaking out from Burundi.
Well,
the internationality of this whole thing.
Very, very, very.
Kabisa, the proverb. Fish eats fish, and he who has no might dies.
Fish eats fish, and he who has no might dies. Ashley, what do you think this proverb is saying?
Oh, wow. Fish eats fish. And
he who has no might dies.
I don't know. A battle or something?
The beauty of an interpretation by you, meaning it has to be your understanding of it, not what you think our understanding is. You can't possibly be wrong even if you try. Yes. So tell us what you think.
Maybe a battle.
Okay.
Yeah.
A battle.
A fight.
About what?
Trying to think fish is not as strong.
Don't think too hard. Just go with the flow, whatever comes to mind.
Fish eats fish. And?
He who has no might dies.
Wow, that's a challenging. What do you think, Eric?
It doesn't work like that. That's not how it works.
No.
Oh my God! It's
wow,
it's 7 a.m., guys.
It's not an exam. Okay.
You said it's a battle.
Okay.
A battle between what? Between fish? Fish eats fish.
Yeah.
He could be the fish here. He who has no might dies.
I think fish doesn't have strength.
Okay.
That's what I would think.
That's what you'd think?
Yeah.
So because it doesn't have strength, what happens to it?
The death part comes to play.
They die. Okay. Because fish has no might.
Yeah.
It dies.
Point well made.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us.
No, that's your interpretation. It's your interpretation that we're interested in.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But since you ask, think about it. Fish does eat fish. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything that is in water, fish will eat. Okay? But when they say he who has no might dies, big fish feed on small fish. Bigger fish feed on big fish and the small ones. How do you relate that to mankind and how we go about our affairs? You've heard of a man eat man society?
True, yeah.
Okay. You can carry on with your thinking from there.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Meona?
Yeah.
Meona?
Yeah.
Very good.
I can see it clearly.
Very good.
Thank you so much for that.
So premature babies, how do you define that?
Premature babies are babies born before 37 weeks or before 35 weeks, all the way maybe to 26. There are women who have given birth to babies at 26 weeks, which is around 6 months gestation. Yes, so that's how we categorize preterm babies. Okay. Yes.
So is that the same? Can we interchangeably use those words, preterm and premature?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I mean, it's one and the same thing.
What causes children to be born premature?
There are a number of causes. One being the second leading cause of maternal deaths, which is preeclampsia, hypertension in pregnancy. That's one. We also have infections, nutrition deficiencies. Yeah, these are some of the key things that actually are the leading cause of premature births. Yes.
So tell us about the Zuri Nzilani Foundation. What is it all about and what do you do?
Great. So my name is Ashley. I am founder and executive director at Zuri Nzilani Foundation, which is a non-profit organization that is leading a transformative movement in maternal and newborn health with the aim of reducing maternal deaths and enabling well-being. Our work is in underserved areas, and we have our key pillars being training, social support, advocacy, and research. Yes.
Why was it founded? When did you found it?
In 2019, after my own personal experience with severe hypertension, in which I gave birth to a preterm premature baby at 30 weeks, around 7 months gestation. And it was a pretty, pregnancy is bliss. You don't think you'll have any complication. I even in my circle, I've never seen anyone who has suffered as a result of being pregnant. And personally, I was admitted in hospital for a full month because I was pregnant, and it never occurred to me. And after I gave birth at 30 weeks, my baby, Zuri, stayed in hospital for 49 days and succumbed to prematurity complications. And that has been my driving force to really talk about these issues around maternal complications and newborn health. And even in my second pregnancy, and actually all my pregnancies, I have experienced preterm birth. My second baby was born 975 grams and stayed in hospital for 3 months just to observe until she was 2 kgs and we were released. And my third baby was 35 weeks. That one is a bit fair and was born 2.3 kgs. So that my journey on maternal health has really shaped this foundation, and just to create awareness about these challenges that exist and a lot of people don't talk about, and so that women can take charge of their health. Yeah.
So tell us about that your first baby.
Yes.
Zuri, you say you were admitted for an entire month.
Yes.
While pregnant. What led to your admission?
So I started swelling and I started having serious headaches. But
was it sudden?
Yeah, it was pretty sudden because my pregnancy was okay until the 24th week when I started feeling pretty unwell. And you see, these complications or these symptoms are quite similar to a pregnancy symptom, like headaches, swelling. It's obvious, yeah. But it was unusual swelling on my face, on my hands, on my feet. And the headaches were constant, and they did not. Like I was used to take painkillers, and it's still there. So when I went to hospital, that's when they checked, and they were like, "Oh my God, your pressure is so high, we can't even release you. You can't go home." And I'm like, people have high blood pressure and still walk, and you give me medication, and I go home. But I really didn't understand how severe it can be. And so they kept me in hospital to monitor me and try to prolong the process so that I can at least give birth at time where, it's viable for a baby to survive. Yes, and that's why they kept me in hospital for quite some time. And even during my stay in hospital, like, it was quite challenging, because now there's a point they were like, we can't keep this baby for long, because now your organs are starting to be affected.
Wait, did your pressure not reduce?
No, it did not.
So from the moment of admission, even with that observation, and them working to stabilize you, it was still shooting.
It was still high.
What was causing this?
So still till today, there's no real root cause of why hypertension happens. But there's some studies that say it's as a result of a weak placenta. And quite a number of women are at risk of getting it. So it's just a matter of management at this point. When doctors diagnose you with hypertension now, it's just the treatment and the management. Yeah.
City.
The story that you tell is a story of pain, difficulty, confusion, and then discovery, a certain understanding, sadness, tragedy, but then again, the children or the child is born preterm and lives, so there's joy in that.
Yeah.
Are there things that you can look at and things which distinguish a preterm baby from any other baby that is born full term?
Yeah. Now preterm babies develop in an incubator as opposed to a full-term baby who now develops in the womb. I carried my baby's diaper. Here it is. This is a pen. This is how tiny she was. So a full-term baby definitely is bigger.
Wow.
You see? So this is her tiny diaper. My pen is bigger than her. So they really struggle. In terms of even breathing, they have to have assistance. At times, even eating, they can't, like, breastfeed and things like that. So there's really, and they suffer a lot of complications as compared to a full-term baby. So they definitely experience a lot of, challenges growth-wise. And at times it can extend even after your hospital stay. We're talking about prematurity being the leading cause of deaths for children under 5. So, to answer your question.
So, one of the leading causes of death of children under 5, under 5 mortality is this.
Yes.
Is the fact that they were born too soon.
Prematurity, yes. And they develop complications as a result of that.
They develop complications.
Yes.
It's because of where now they're growing. Like you said, it's in the incubator. Okay. So is there a way the antenatal visits, because you're supposed to do what? How many antenatal visits? 6?
3.
3 in the time of pregnancy.
3 is ultrasound. But as we recommend at least 1 visit a month.
Every month.
Just say, because you don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the ministry says at least 6 antenatal visits.
Yes.
When you're going there for those antenatal visits, is it possible for the medic to detect whether you are prone to hypertension and preeclampsia or not?
So during the visits, definitely they check your blood pressure. So that's the one way they can be able to identify during a visit, and also checking how, your physical appearance or how you're also feeling. But also an ultrasound check can be able to show if your baby is actually growing. And that's one of the signs that will show if, you're going to deliver prematurity, if your baby is not growing. Personally, my baby stopped growing at 26 weeks and I was already 30 weeks. So that informed, with my second baby, that informed the doctor that we actually need to deliver this baby fast.
Okay.
Because they saw through an ultrasound that the baby is actually not growing.
What causes that?
The pressure.
That's again the pressure.
Yes.
So this pressure will lead to early birth, early delivery.
Yes.
It could also lead to low birth weight.
Yes. It can also lead to death. It can also lead to brain damage. It can also lead to organ failure.
For both mother and baby?
For the mom.
For the mom.
Yes.
Through your experience now with your first baby, Zuri, and this is where you named your foundation, Zuri Nzilani.
Yes.
Because of your baby. So you are admitted for an entire month. You are delivered of the baby, and then 49... how many weeks later?
49 days.
Yeah, 49 days later, the baby passed on. That must have been devastating for you.
It still is.
It still must be, right?
Yeah.
So through that journey of that Zuri and then coming to try for the second baby, that also cannot have been easy.
Yes, it was very hard, yeah.
As you are going through that journey, you're thinking, all right, I remember what happened to Zuri. I remember what happened to Zuri, and I've got to try.
Yeah.
The second time, when you're again told, okay, your blood pressure is coming to this level, your baby has stopped growing, what then also goes through your mind?
I was devastated even when I found out, because after Zuri's death, I made sure I'm not going to get pregnant at least for 5 years, and I did everything necessary to ensure that. Yeah, but I got pregnant maybe 5 months after that.
After the fifth year.
No, after 5 months after the death of Zuri. And in my head, I really wanted to terminate on medical grounds.
You were not prepared.
I was not prepared, and even the doctors were telling me, you have two options: either to terminate this pregnancy because you also have a C-section scar, you're still healing. We usually give 2 years for you to stabilize. And I was scared because I almost lost my life 5 months ago, So I had two options: either to terminate on medical grounds or to take it as a high-risk pregnancy. And let me tell you, the entire pregnancy was filled with a lot of anxiety. I even was prescribed for anxiety medication during my pregnancy because it was so difficult. And now being told, your blood pressure is here again. The only thing that gave me a bit of hope is that I knew my symptoms the second time. So I knew if I feel like this, I can't stay at home. I have to go to the hospital. So this time round, I was more aware, but it did not negate the fact that it was emotionally straining. And I delivered in the same hospital where my baby died, and I was in the same facility where she died. But now the hospital was so kind to put me in another wing, not close to where my other child passed, Yeah. So it was devastating. It was not easy, but we took it a day at a time.
It's interesting. You have anxiety, and you have an inclination towards being hypertensive.
It's not helping the situation.
No, it doesn't help. In fact, it doesn't help at all. It's a catch-22 situation.
Yes.
You're anxious that the blood pressure will kick in, and that anxiety actually now that helps it actually kick in.
Yeah.
Would you say that you have understood it to the point where you can actually manage your anxiety?
I wouldn't. It's hard.
I don't know, you've answered quickly.
It's hard. It's hard because I was even having a conversation recently about having kids, and your heart is basically walking outside. You can see your heart literally walking, and you panic every time. The thing is, after losing a child and having other children, the fear of death is so tangible. Like you fear everything, something might happen. And I remember my pediatrician used to tell me, Ashley, this baby is not going to die. And she assures me she's not going to die. She's okay. We are 1.1 kgs. We are leaving NICU now. We are going to NHDU, which is now less intensive, like a less intensive ward. So that assurity also was, okay, she's not going to die. And I mentally tell myself, okay, she's going to live. She's okay. Because being born at less than a kilo, I didn't even think this kid is going to survive. And even when the how she came was, I was I had like something they call placenta abruption, which means the placenta detaches itself from the uterus and it caused bleeding. That's also one of the causes where moms die. And I went to this hospital, and when I walked in bleeding, the security guard said, wasichana wenye wanaingianga kwa hospitali hivi hawatokangi. Now I just knew my life is over.
That was the watchman giving you expert medical advice.
Said that, and when I think about it now, that makes me quite sad. That makes me quite sad, because I went in just to check my pressure because I was feeling bad, and the doctor, there was not even like a gyna in the hospital at the time. So in my head, I was like, true, he's actually right, because I needed an emergency attention. So if I was to wait for a doctor, I would have died in that bed. He was right. Yeah. But I was transferred to now the hospital where I gave birth, and it was quite chaotic. But when I reached to now this other hospital where I gave birth, they had to resuscitate my baby because she had already flatlined.
He was right in so far.
It was his observation.
Not only his observation, he was giving a very condemning indictment of the health facility.
Yes. Yeah. And the bad thing about it is that how he said it. And to whom he was saying. I mean, don't say it to the person.
And I was panicking. Right. I'm bleeding. I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing my life.
You don't have to come and say, where by the way?
Where Ofiki?
So crazy. You then, after going through this, decided, let me start a foundation and create awareness and all. Now you'll tell us about that foundation and your experience then interacting with other women and seeing whether women really understood what they were going through, and even the experiences that now you've heard from other women.
World Prematurity Awareness Month.
World Prematurity Awareness Month.
Yes.
Ashley Muteti is the founder and executive director of the Zuri Nzilani Foundation. Zuri Nzilani is a immortalization of her firstborn, who was born premature and unfortunately passed on. But then she's had 2 other babies. And she'll tell us about this foundation and the importance of then creating awareness about this. The premature babies, why we must take care of these tiny hearts who have big futures. So your own experience led you to start a foundation. Is at this point, had you interacted with other women who had gone through the same preeclampsia, premature birth, low birth weight as you?
So during my hospital stay with Zuri, I realized majority of the women who had babies in NICU were
What's
there.
NICU?
NICU is in neonatal intensive care unit. So it's an ICU for small babies. And when we were there, I realized majority of the women are admitted with their babies there because they gave birth prematurely as a result of hypertension. And none of us knew what this thing is. We've never had it before. Some had babies and they had delivered safely, but now had this other baby and it was complicated. This was the first time pregnancy, same to me. So I said that there's a problem.
And even throughout your pregnancy journey up to this point, you had never heard of preeclampsia?
I've never had. But after I had it, my mom told me she also had it with me. Because I was also born 2 kgs and I was born 8 months. So I was like, what?
Allah.
Yeah. Yeah. So after my own experience, my mom told me she also experienced something similar with me. And I said, if all of us don't know about this, majority of us have babies here because of this thing, then this should be a very serious issue. And we went, I was in a good hospital and I wondered, okay, I'm receiving really good care. What about that woman who cannot afford this? How is she handling this? My bill was 6.9 million.
Wow.
I didn't even know where to start. Like, we didn't know where to start. Like, he earlier asked about Mzee. But we didn't know where to start with a bill of 6.9 million. This is a very young couple. And this just goes to show how expensive it is to have a child in NICU,
Yeah.
in ICU, and how expensive it is to have a premature baby. So my own experience led me to really start this foundation and be the voice for women, create awareness. And we've seen what awareness can do, because we have a social support group of women who have given birth prematurely, who have lost children and have also had an experience with preeclampsia. And between 2023 and this month, we've had 43 successful births because of education.
Because of people that you have reached out to.
Yes.
As Zuri Nzilani Foundation.
Yes. And they've learned, if I'm feeling bad, I'm swelling, that is not normal, I need to go to hospital. If my blood pressure is 150 over 100, I cannot stay at home. You see, one of the things I hear doctors say is that, women come in very late when really there's nothing we can do as medics, but, try to save your life. But if it is something that can be detected early, it can be managed, and you can be able to save the life of the mom and the baby. And maybe if you cannot save the life of the baby, then you can save the life of the mom, which is still unfortunate. Yeah. So this has been my main reason why, Zuri Nzilani exists, to create awareness, to advocate for these things,
So how do you do that? How do you create awareness?
Through social media, through outreach. We do community outreach. We also do community radio, and have talks there. At times send medics to have tough conversations that I cannot have because I'm not a medic, and also like having sessions with women, like educative sessions. And at times we have those sessions, and we've partnered with a hospital called Jacaranda Maternity, that when we have these sessions, they come in with the medical expertise and offer some of the services that are quite expensive, such as ultrasound scans for free. In a slum, the ultrasound scan is around 1,500 or 1,300. So will this woman buy food for her family, or she will go and do
the ultrasound?
The ultrasound, yeah. So that's how, we reach out to women and families.
When you say this, then you say that there's a lot of, there's lack of awareness.
Yes.
Widespread lack of awareness. But then there are very many women who are pregnant as we speak today. They're expecting a child. There are very many of them who turn up to health facilities for just those regular visits. How then are we saying that there's lack of awareness? There are many women who have given birth and gone back home. Maybe they had preeclampsia, maybe they didn't, they went through it, but they had interaction with medics throughout their pregnancy journey.
Yeah.
And they have sisters, they have cousins, they have daughters, and they still don't have awareness. That tells you that the medics don't actually pass the information.
And at times, that's why we do some of these intensive education platforms, because when you go for antenatal checkups, there are like 50 women lined up.
Yeah.
By the time I start educating one person about these are the dangers, these are what, and there are 50 people lined up, there's really not much time to do that. Yes, I've been there when some of these clinics happen, and they'll tell you, if you have a headache, if you have this, if you have that, you come and see. But you don't know the intensity. Okay, I'm having a headache, but how bad?
Yeah.
If it's high blood pressure, how bad? If it's at what point should I come to the hospital? So at times, this information is not passed, I agree, during these antenatal clinics. And that's why even this month, we're really focused on this digital campaign called Tiny Hearts, Big Futures, to really raise our voice about prematurity, what causes it, and how women can be able to get assistance.
Would it help, say, for instance, whenever people are in a waiting room, since we're talking about expectant mothers, usually a TV, and with that TV, you're watching whatever is on TV, would it help if that screen, instead of telling you about the accident that occurred in Mahiu and whatever happened where,
Kinduki swearing in,
Kinduki swearing in, Seriously, or
and Diwali
or telling you how there's this backflow in Nyando and people have been marooned for almost a year. That you actually had medical education being channeled through it. Would it help?
It would. And even when there are 50 women over there, a nurse can come and talk before they go in to get checked. At least have that, conversation, because all of them are seated in one place.
And they wait.
Yeah.
And others also come in. So it's a message that could be repeated.
Yeah.
So if you're there for a while, you'll have heard it enough times for it to have saturated it.
Yeah, but a TV would actually be very helpful and people, watch
because people watch TV.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting waiting, it's something for you to do.
Since around November last year, there are people now in communities called community health promoters, right? And they've been kitted. To the best of your knowledge, are they now doing a better job of creating awareness? Because one of the things that they do is they visit you in your home. So obviously, the people, expected mothers, are a touch point. Are they helping? Do they know about preeclampsia?
Now, that's actually a really good point, because as a foundation, we are actually heading in that direction of building capacity for
CHPs.
Yes, for CHPs. And it's important because they talk about a myriad of issues, malaria and everything. But what about the top leading causes of deaths for moms and for babies? How can a mom be able to identify I am in danger? And so I agree, even with nurses and probably midwives in the rural settings that we have, there still needs a lot of capacity building and training.
You touched on something which is vital there, rural areas. Some of these health facilities in rural areas may not necessarily have a TV, but they would have a health promoter. There's something in medicine they call continuous medical education. It's usually meant for people who are health practitioners, but there's nothing stopping them, again, from what you mentioned, from somebody who works within the facility to actually periodically come in. You time yourself. This is the message you're going to give. And you talk to this group, because sometimes those waiting rooms are full.
Yeah.
And there are people, and they're going to be there for some time. So in essence, they're a captive audience.
And it's a common thing, like you've said, between, was it November to now? Or
last year.
Last year to now.
Yeah.
The number of women that you've come up, in contact with as the Zuri Nzilani Foundation, and you've created awareness for, and you've helped, that have then ended up having proper deliveries. How many?
43.
Despite having preeclampsia.
Yes.
So 43 women actually got high blood pressure during pregnancy. There are very many more than that you didn't know about, right? Are there cases where you have had to support, let's say, a woman at a point of need to access emergency medical care?
Yes.
How so? Give us a case.
Last year, there's a lady in Kitale who was pregnant. She had severe hypertension, and she went to a facility near her. Her blood pressure, when she checked, it was around 170 over 110. And the facility told her to go back home because they can't handle her.
Huh?
Yes. The facility told her they can't handle her. She goes back home. They gave her medication and told her, go back home. In an ideal situation, you will not leave that hospital. That is an emergency case. Yeah? And she wrote in the group, ladies, this is my BP. I've been told to go back home. At that time, there are people in Eldoret, in Kitale, and everything. They facilitated. It was around 7, around there. PM. By the next day, 9 a.m., people had already facilitated her to go to a hospital. She delivered that morning. That next morning, she delivered. So we were like, if you're being told to go back home, we don't know what to do. That's why people sleep and they don't wake up, or, some of the things happen, or you start bleeding. How will you get assistance?
What level of health facility was this that couldn't handle it?
It was a private clinic.
Was
it a public clinic?
It was not. It was like a private.
Did it offer
small
maternal,
clinic? Yes, they do offer. That is where she's been going for her antenatal clinics and everything. And that's why we are even saying we need to train, or we are advocating even at the smallest facility, the primary health care. There needs to be even one basi incubator where women are delivering. Then even one. I've been to a facility where has 300 births in Kariobangi, 300 births per month.
300 a month?
Yes, 300 a month. And there is one incubator and it's not even functional. So the chances of a woman coming there and giving birth prematurely, you will lose your child.
It's high.
It's definite. You will lose your child because there is no first aid. How can we be able to give
This is a Ministry of Health facility.
Yes, it is.
Some research done by a consortium of researchers, the Okoh University Hospital, Tampere University in Finland, and others, on this, they found that it's actually a global phenomenon.
Yes, it is.
1 in 5 children globally is likely to be born preterm, low birth weights, right?
Yeah.
1 in 5 globally. And most of them are in these parts of the world.
It's true.
In Africa, in Asia, and South America. And so it just points to health systems that are just not equipped to deal with this. But it takes you back into policy.
Yeah.
With all the expertise that we have in medicine, with clear indicators, and I mean showing that our children are dying below the age of 5, and there are very many things that are telling us how they end up dying below the age of 5. How then are we not able to pinpoint this and say, let's plug this gap?
It makes me sad because we fully plan for natural catastrophes, When the Mpox thing came, like there was proper funding.
Yeah.
By the end of this show, or by the time I leave this place, 2 children would have already been, would die.
In this country?
In this country. 2 babies. Why is it not a national importance? Why is it not a priority? Yet we know this is a life and death thing. If by the end of today, there are women who are going to die as a result of probably preventable maternal conditions. There are babies definitely who will die. And it's sad that we are not prioritizing such a thing as this. It makes me quite sad, actually.
No, it's a very sad situation.
Yeah.
What you'll find, and what is strange, is when you look at the budget of, say, the Ministry of Health, and we talk about free maternal health care, it's free because the government is subsidizing it. And the amounts that you'll hear being used to subsidize it are enormous. So when we hear that the services that are supposed to be provided by these monies doesn't exist, then the eternal question we ask in this studio is, okay, so where does the money go to? Because clearly, a place like Kariobangi, with the population density that they have there, this is a facility that should have several incubators, not one.
Actually, Karioko, I would say Karioko. Yeah, it should have several, and you anticipate. That's the thing. We ensure, and I wish even our politicians and governors can stand up and say, in my county, no woman will die. No woman will die giving birth, and I will make sure even if they give birth prematurely, they have a fighting chance of surviving and thriving. We have to even have that political goodwill and say, okay, we'll channel our resources to ensure our facilities are equipped. I mean, there's a facility. There's a woman who gave birth, I think, to 5 babies, and her babies died because the hospital did not have the capacity to care for those babies. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen.
So in your interaction with, I'm sure you've interacted from top policy level with the ministry, with medics, with doctors, with nurses, all the way to community health promoters, all the way to even midwives, right?
Yeah.
Is the information gap spread across?
It's a challenge. And even...
so even midwives do not know what to look out for. So they know, do pressure, but do they know what to do in case you find?
So there are definitely strategies that have been laid out, and at times even policy. I was having a look at the Linda Mama program audit, and the biggest challenge was execution. Yes, it was functional and everything, but the biggest challenge was implementation. And you find that things are made at top level, but the information gap and communication gap is so huge that people in the county level now don't have like a roadmap to use and say, okay, when a woman comes, what's the protocol to check, check for this, a baby has died, let's record at what point did we weigh this baby, did we do this? So there are things that are still like huge gaps, in terms of information.
Poverty is also a contributor, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you mentioned something to do with diet. Explain.
Yeah, so malnutrition, when you're pregnant, you also take these supplements. At times, there are women who don't and can't afford.
They just can't afford the supplements.
Yeah, they can't afford the supplements. So what happens to them? It poses a risk. So the baby, the baby is not even growing, and you'll give birth to a very small baby, or you'll give birth early. Yes.
There's a lot that you've done at Zuri Nzilani. So you're creating a lot of awareness, like you've said. You are, championing all these things. Is there anything, in terms of collaboration that you do? Collaborating with research organizations, collaborating with other like-minded organizations, because you know that there's there's an information gap. We have 1 million children born every year in this country. Now, those are 1 million pregnancies at risk every year. That's a lot of information that's needed.
Over 100,000 of those babies are premature.
And Eric, in case you thought it was safe to get out of the water, the budget for maternal health in this country was 4 billion. It was reduced to 2 billion.
It was reduced.
It was reduced, just so that you understand. Though, of course, we increased the budget for women empowerment. But the point being, you pause and wonder and ask, okay, we know that more children are being born. That million is increasing, it's not going down. So why is the budget for this particular service that caters for these children who are about to be born, why are you reducing it, and yet more people will need this particular assistance? What's the rationale for reducing it?
Yeah.
It's because Margaret is no longer the First Lady.
Wow, that's a punch.
Someone has actually mentioned here. Remember the First Lady's program when Margaret was First Lady? What was it called?
Beyond Zero.
The Beyond Zero, right?
Yeah.
It was basically advocating for this.
Yeah.
I know that even First Lady Rachel has a program that is dealing with, advocating and pushing on issues of maternal health. Okay? But then you ask yourself, so why is it that this thing is relegated to, the office of the First Lady? Those things where enda saidia wa mama, mfanya mambo, uonekane unafanya kazi.
Saidia mama kama wewe.
Uonekane unafanya kazi. Is that the attitude? That comes out like it's the attitude of government.
It appears so. In fact, you're almost limiting the capacity of and the roles of the First Lady to just that. You see? Okay, let's say you've decided that is what it's going to be. What is the national priority when it comes to maternal health? Because everyone, even those who are in position of authority, it's maternal health that ensures that you become a human being in the first place.
That's true.
Yes, that's why you're sitting there doing whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
So that chance that was given to you, why is it not being given to others?
True.
Ashley, you're running this campaign, Tiny Hearts. So if anybody would like to get in touch with the Zuri Nzilani Foundation, how do they do that? How do they support you?
Okay.
In a minute.
All right. So we have, we are running Mchanga, to assist women who are currently in NICU and have huge hospital bills, and also to assist with their psychosocial support like therapy. So we are running an Mchanga campaign, and you can be able to see that in our socials. You can follow us on Zuri Nzilani Foundation on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to get in touch, please also you can DM us. We're very open to collaborations because the goal is one, to ensure that moms will not die and children, even if they're born whatever way, that they have a fighting chance of survival.
So Zuri Nzilani Foundation on your social media.
Yes,
On
Zuri Nzilani.
Instagram, on Facebook.
Yes.
On X. And
Yeah.
Zuri is Zuri.
Yes.
Nzilani Nzilani.
Yes.
So see Nzuri. It is Zuri.
Zuri.
Wairimu, it is Zuri.
Yes.
Zuri. Nzilani, it is Nzilani. Thank you very much, Ashley, for joining us.
Thank you too.
And it's a good job that you're doing.
Thank you
Keep
too. I
doing
really
it.
appreciate your opportunity.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.